Hi, YouTube.
Hi, YouTube.
Today we're talking about football.
Really?
Why are you smiling like that? It's weird.
I was smiling weird, too. It was like the vibe. It's the vibe.
They're
Just
creeps.
like conference realignment. It's the vibe
Enjoy,
today.
watch, subscribe, like.
comment.
Bye.
I had the best one by far.
I overthink my.
I think it went
prompts
Jack,
now.
Katie, Casey, me.
Yours was like pathetic.
Mine was the worst that's ever happened. I wish.
You didn't even try, so I can't even like.
I
insult
wasn't trying to not try. It was that
Oh,
my hands
really?
stopped themselves.
I
Yeah.
half-assed it, to be honest.
I'm like straddling this mic.
I overthink them too much now.
You're molesting that mic.
I am it.
Your titty's resting on
I
that
was
mic.
say, it's like pushing your pec up. Bless you.
Ooh.
Just a very awkward situation over here.
Has that microphone always been like that?
Well, his chest
just-
hasn't always been that big either.
Don't be rude.
That's me.
That wasn't being rude at all. That was a compliment. This guy's getting checked.
Jack is getting
Trying
jacked.
to get less jacked. Not less jacked, less fat.
You're telling me your chest isn't bigger than it has been?
Well, he
think
just
did
flexed
a pec
it.
flap.
Right.
Yeah, he just, well, that's why I said pec. You said boob.
No,
he
I said.
he always says titty.
I said-
he wasn't saying insulting.
But I said chest.
You said titty.
You said
The first
titty
time I said
initially.
titty.
because I was molesting. I made the joke.
Okay.
I opened
Okay, all right.
He could be mean there.
He set the
That's
precedent.
just guys being dudes.
I missed it when you were in meetings and you were having a baby.
You see,
begged
he would
me
have
to come back.
He
You
would have
begged.
said that, and it just would have. We just would have kept
Nothing.
going. Yeah.
Nothing. Just right on with it.
I think your
But no,
pecs
now
are
we have to have a
nice.
congressional hearing
About
because I
the-
said it.
We were just
Pecs,
trying to
titties,
defend Jack.
chest.
I was trying to give him a compliment.
Calm your pecs. Okay. Are y'all ready to get started?
Yes.
Hell yeah.
How we sound, Noah?
Guys sound great.
Thank you.
He's always so positive.
Guys always do.
Don't get sassy.
Oh my.
A lot of news today.
A lot
Yeah.
Of,
A lot of news in May.
yep.
And hate weeks next week.
Oh yeah, we did announce that. Are we gonna actually do it next week, or is something come up?
Did something come up already?
I think we can probably do it. Everybody's alive right now.
I
Alive?
think.
Do you have any
Yeah,
plans to
'cause
change that?
Well, last year we had to.
I mean, I only got one left, so pray for my mama this week. Hopefully she'll make it.
Oh.
Well,
Your mom's gonna make it this
The
week.
record's guys.
Huh?
Isn't all the record guys?
What guys?
Women are fine around you.
Well, I only have one woman, and everybody I had is gone except now we're down to one. Yeah, down to the woman.
So we'll have bubbles around us for the next week.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. By the way, did you get my Happy Mother's Day text?
You didn't. Your mom texted me.
I told her to do it on my
No,
behalf.
you didn't.
I
liar.
texted her.
Yeah.
You didn't text her? Well, I texted her in the form of TikTok.
Let me tell you something. I got enough mothers in my life that it's hard to get all the way down the list.
Is your wife's mother still alive?
Yes.
Okay, nice.
Not that I texted her.
No. Oh.
So you just.
Oh, there
you
may
just-
be beef there. Who knows?
You just said Happy Mother's Day to your mom and to your wife.
I said it to my wife, and hopefully it trickles down to all the rest of the mothers in my life.
You know what? I don't hate that.
Yeah.
I think that you should text me. I think I would text you on Father's Day.
I forgot to text you. I apologize. Happy
okay.
Mother's Day.
It's okay because Jack, you don't have children, so I
Yeah,
don't expect
yeah,
you to
yeah.
remember. He has 4.
I went out with my mother. The family did. We went to a museum.
Yeah.
City of New York Museum. Actually, pretty cool museum if anyone's in New York. Goes
I'm
through the
surprised.
history.
Not the museum, but like as a local person, seeing a museum for your area. was
No,
super
but it was all the
interesting.
history. It was really cool.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
If anyone's in the area.
What are you doing right now?
I'm searching podcast co-host chat with Father's Day in it.
I didn't have a kid last year, so I wouldn't.
But I did.
Well, I think I actually probably did text you. I'm usually.
See,
pretty
you
good
said
about
you would
these
text me on Father's Day.
things. I feel like I probably did.
I wouldn't be surprised if she did.
I wouldn't. Yeah.
Well, we'll see. We'll
I
see if the
delete
search.
text, so I
Happy
can't-
Father's Day, Happy Father's Day, Happy Father's Day. None from you.
Really?
Yeah.
Was I mad
Interesting.
at you?
Interesting.
How the turntables.
Yeah. Just leave it. Just leave it. I did, didn't I? I told you. I knew it.
He is looking at a message. I'm not going to look at his
Yep,
phone, but
I knew it.
this is unbelievable. And this is in the midst of legit, 8 text messages that he didn't respond to from you.
See, I'm just a better person than
Happy
you.
Father's Day, Brandon. I miss you.
I think you were in Connecticut.
No, I was home. I was home, right?
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
I was home for.
That was when, you were.
Yeah.
You were home for the whole month.
Yeah. All right.
Wow.
And then you also had a story. Remind me to tell you a great story of how stupid Mince is.
Well,
Oh, damn. Had to bring up old shit.
Anyway, yeah. There. Happy Mother's Day.
Oh, you know what? I remember what that story was,
yeah.
too.
Yeah.
We were in Omaha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Happy Mother's Day.
Oh, thank you.
that was with your dad.
Yeah, on
Yep.
Father's Day.
Yeah.
Yes.
Full circle.
He mansplained baseball to her
Baseball
dad.
to your dad, right?
remember that
Yeah,
story,
and
too.
like my dad.
Because your dad definitely doesn't know how baseball works.
He did. He mansplained. My dad made the joke about what time kickoff was, and Mince was like, "Oh, well, it's actually first pitch," and I was like, "Oh, fuck, all right." Anyways, college football.
Y'all ready?
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to Unnecessary Roughness, Barstool's college football podcast, brought to you.
Soon, maybe.
Soon. Well, I'm not
When's
gonna.
your event?
Like Casey's baby.
Tomorrow.
Okay, that's another good event. Are you gonna get where is it like a big event? You gonna get dolled up or no?
No.
Okay.
But it is like an exclusive thing that's like shut off to the public, so
Yay. Anyway,
it could help us.
yeah, hopefully. All right, or result in me getting kicked off. So we'll see.
How's your daughter's softball games this year?
They're good, Jack. Thank you very much.
I
First of
remember-
all, yesterday she had multiple hits and 5 RBIs. She came
No,
up
I
with the bases
remember
loaded
last
twice.
year she played really well.
Oh, she was awesome yesterday. She got a big write-up in the local paper. She had 5 RBIs.
No
She had
way.
Oh, yeah.
I always
That's awesome.
remember you would have the little blurbs in the local paper and you would cross your fingers that like
Yes.
you were in it.
And
Well-
did you cut yours out? I always cut mine out and saved them.
Yeah.
Here's the bullshit part. They still bat her 8th. She's like their 3rd best hitter, and they bat her 8th.
Is
Why
it-
don't you have a talk with the coach?
I don't want to be that guy.
Isn't 4
That's
to 6?
fair.
You are that guy.
I don't want to be that guy.
But you are that guy.
Huh?
4 to 6. 4 is like the power spot, right?
Your
4 or
first
5.
5 hitters in softball are. I mean, it's your leadoff hitter gets on base. Your second hitter makes contact. Your 3rd, 4th, and 5th hitters are your power guys, and then
Yeah.
on and on. She bats 8th, but she's probably the most productive hitter they got. Whatever, doesn't matter.
I mean this with the utmost respect. I'm surprised that you aren't embracing that you're that guy.
I try to keep a low profile when I'm. I don't want her to be Brandon Walker's daughter. Like I don't want her to be. I don't want to show up and be like, oh, Brandon Walker's just going to act a fool because he's Brandon Walker.
Oh, that's
Do other
very nice of
people,
you.
like parents on the team, know who you are?
Or
Or do you make them know who you are?
No,
Could. He could. I'm
There's-
not that off.
there's some that know, but they don't. It's not. It doesn't come up.
But you what you're saying is regardless of if they know who you are or not, you don't want to be the dad that everyone's like, oh shit, like
Here he comes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair.
All right.
Karen, what's the male version of Karen?
We've called it something, hadn't we? I just mailed Karen, I think.
It's not Ken. It's
All I
not-
know is
No.
I
that
thought there was a name.
your daughter should be batting
Jeff?
at a different.
Maybe.
She should be batting 3rd or 4th. Yes.
Yeah.
Really 2nd because she doesn't strike out much. She doesn't have the power that the other girls have. But yesterday she hit one past the center fielder. So
Not bad.
whatever. It doesn't matter. Okay. Our show is brought to you by my daughter's softball team.
And happy Mother's Day to all of our listeners that are mothers.
Yes.
All
we
10 of them.
Probably should have said that last week.
Oh yeah, probably.
Belated.
Happy Mother's Day to you, and hopefully you had a wonderful summer day.
What?
Oh, it was spring.
I don't know.
That was weird.
Anyway, we got a lot of news. A lot of news in the news.
Thank God. We needed one of these weeks because
Yeah.
we were low on content.
Yeah, we were. It's time to refill the gas tank a little bit.
Yeah, we'd have to come up with another
Now,
adjective.
I have a couple things I want to talk about later, because you made fun of me on Twitter yesterday.
Well, it was more of like a friendly jab. Did you
Oh, that's
see?
fine. It was fine.
I did
He
too,
called me
and
big.
he's
And
only
I
saw
almost
yours.
responded with what you said.
Yeah.
This would be a great TikTok.
It would
He
be.
called me Big Game Boomer.
I liked what Katie said because she's been trying to get you to do those
We could
things.
really. That's my plan.
Well, let's
for-
do them.
Brandon, why did you say that?
No, he's joking.
Also,
No,
I mean,
it's-
I need to be better at that too. I've forgotten to do
I've
videos
calmed
like
down
3
with
weeks
it.
in a
I'll
row.
send him green screens. I'll send him that. If he wants to do it, awesome. I'm just.
Okay, but here's the thing. I've been doing these. I don't know. Last year it was. I would put teams against
Twitter
each other. Who's the
Spaces.
better program? Michigan or Ohio State vote, and that did really well. And this time I'm doing 4 pictures of 4 things in college football and saying vote for which one is the best. And I don't know. It's just something you see from a tweet farm thing that would be stupid engagement
From Big Game Boomer.
from guys like Big Game Boomer. But
More engagement though. If you put a poll, you're killing Twitter interaction.
Damn.
Really?
No, I'm just saying as a helpful point. Like if you put a poll, people might not respond. They'll just click the poll and move on.
But that okay.
But it's
whatever.
underneath it.
It's underneath it. It's not part of the first
Yeah.
one. Okay.
Oh.
Anyway, so I did like 4 of them. I did which non-Heisman quarterback was the best. It was Vince Young,
Peyton.
Michael Vick, and Trevor Lawrence.
You didn't put CJ.
I did not put CJ.
Did Ohio State fans say anything?
They didn't. They didn't say anything. You know what? They didn't say it for CJ. They said it for Fields. The only Ohio
Interesting.
State fans that spoke up for Fields.
I guess it's probably because Fields beat
Anyway,
Michigan.
we
Or
can-
no, he didn't.
in a little while
He
we'll
didn't play them.
In a little while we can go over all of them and all the answers, and then we can help. Jack will help me craft some. But he just called me a big game boomer out of nowhere.
Fair shot.
Did Justin Fields ever beat Michigan?
So
Yeah.
they didn't play in 2020.
Was he there in 2019? Yes, he
Yeah,
was.
he was.
What
Yeah.
am I saying?
Yeah.
He threw the
We were-
interception against Clemson in the
Yeah.
end zone. That great game, college football playoff. Yeah, I'm an idiot.
You're not an idiot, but
Well,
they beat him pretty bad that year, didn't they?
Yeah, definitely.
That's you know what?
It
That's
was in the
that's
snow, I think.
That's the Ohio State Michigan game where Dave fired Pete 3 times.
And
from
you
the
were.
office.
oh, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, and then he said I said.
You fucked that game up, didn't you?
No, I said something happened
The TVs
because
went
the
out.
TVs
Yep,
weren't out, and
yep.
then he was like, Jack Mack in the back or something.
Yes,
I remember this.
because in 2018 we were there. Michigan also got killed. We left at halftime.
So I think the news item we got to start with is the biggest news item in college football, and I guess this is the time of year where these things are just going to happen now. This is our new normal. Where last year I guess it was around this time, maybe a little later when we found out UCLA and USC were headed to the Big Ten, and that whole thing started unraveling, and now the ACC, as we know it, might be falling apart. We have a rogue. I wouldn't even call it a wing of the ACC because it's half of the damn conference.
Well, they need one more to make it official.
So right now there are 7 teams. They're dubbed the Magnificent Seven.
So
I love
Did
that
they
name.
name
So
themselves?
lame.
I really hope not.
The Magnificent Seven, and those teams are
it's a Marvel movie.
Florida State, Miami, Virginia Tech, Virginia, the University of North Carolina State University, and the Clemson Tigers. Those are your 7 teams that have started looking into what it would take to break contract with the ACC, what it would take for the ACC to break contract with ESPN, what it would take to change the way things are going in the Atlantic Coast Conference. And the 7 teams that are on the sidelines are Georgia Tech, Boston College, Pitt, Louisville, Wake, Duke, Syracuse. Feels like if I'm a proactive guy, I'd rather be in the first group because the Magnificent Seven looks like they're tired of the ACC's shit. They're tired of, and Jack, I'll let you break it down a little further because I'm sure you've studied a little closer. But the TV contract with ESPN that runs through 2036 doesn't make a lot of business sense
Nope.
to these
Really
Magnificent
bad.
Seven.
So we talked about it a little bit with Andy Staples. I think we brought it up with, I forget, some of the people we had
Danny
on.
Cannell.
Danny Cannell. And we were like, hey, what do you think's going on with the ACC? And we weren't the only ones asking that question because a lot of people were confused with where's Florida State, Clemson, Miami going to end up in this new power? It seems like a power 2's emerging, and then also the Big 12's really taking it by the balls and said the power we're going to be a P3, and Clemson, Florida State, and Miami, they may be left at the dance, or the lights come on, they don't have a partner. And the biggest issue was, hey, this contract is through 2036, and that's 2036. Your child will be you'll have kids in college, you'll have kids in high school or middle school, high school. Like we may have kids.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
It's crazy to think that we always make fun of schedules for being so far out. It's
Yeah.
crazy to think that the hundreds of millions of dollars that go into TV contracts are through 2040 almost.
And that deal that they have in that is almost awful for them because all the other
Yeah.
TV deals have happened.
Well, it's
It's one of the
insane
worst
they would ever
deals
sign
ever.
a contract that long because with the landscape shifting as much as it is, every time somebody else gets a contract, it resets the price, and you're going to wait 13 years from and
I
they
think
didn't just sign it.
I think the only reason they signed it was because they got the ACC network. I think that was the trade-off. We'll give you a network, which we've seen happen, which I would say the ACC network's done pretty well. Better than, I mean, I guess SEC, not better than SEC, better than Longhorn. There's no other comparison because the only one's another school, but then obviously SEC network.
Well, the Big Ten network.
Yeah, the Big Ten.
Big Ten, yeah.
Pac-12 is not.
Pac-12 has been awful.
Yeah.
All that being said, we're looking right now at these schools who probably, I would assume they have conferences lined up. And I think, at least from what I'm reading, if they get an 8th school, like Louisville,
that breaks the deal, right?
I think it breaks it, which is, I don't know. There must still be issues there, though, because there's
But the problem
contracts.
with that, if the concept is we have to get an 8th school to break this, and if the teams you said already have conferences lined up, if that 8th school doesn't have anything lined up, what is the incentive for that 8th school to break?
I've heard rumors that Louisville thinks the SEC will invite them to their conference.
Well,
but Kentucky is trying to shut that down.
Okay, well, here's the thing. And Florida will say this too. Florida doesn't want Florida State. Florida doesn't want Miami. Kentucky doesn't want Louisville. Tough titty.
Yeah.
Like that bullshit should be out the fucking window.
But
that crap should be
It's,
gone.
But
we've seen
then
it happen
you
in the
have-
SEC already with A&M and Texas.
I mean, Alabama has to share a league
I
with
mean,
Auburn.
UConn would have been in the ACC in 2005 if it wasn't for Boston College. But these things happen because then a school like Kentucky will get a bunch of other schools on their side and be like, hey, if somebody comes and tries to invade your territory, you have our vote.
But that's such a bitch made
I know,
move
I
by
know,
somebody
I
like
know,
Kentucky.
I know.
The thing about with the Magnificent Seven is if they can break it, and whoever they get, whether it's Louisville, whether it's Syracuse, Duke, whoever, the TV contracts, which by the way, in 2036, we don't even know what TV networks are going to look like because they're already in a completely different spot than they have been. I mean, we know linear TV, other than live events, is just dying a slow death. But without those 7 schools, quite literally, no one's going to be watching the ACC network unless they're a fan of those other
What do
teams.
you think Duke's doing?
Well, you know what this Magnificent Seven tells me? It tells me nothing. Not a thing matters other than football.
No, it doesn't even.
Yeah.
And the ACC has a long basketball tradition, and they're probably the best basketball conference in the country for years and years and years and years. And they have some of the most treasured basketball rivalries.
Sports
But
rivalries.
when it comes to realigning the world of sports, college basketball is dickless. It does not matter at all because North Carolina and Duke is the #1 college basketball rivalry, and when it comes to realigning, it doesn't matter at all. It's all about football.
We should have probably known that. Obviously, hindsight's 2020. When the Big East schools said, "Hey, we're going," they probably, like the Louisvilles, the Syracuse, the Pittsburghs.
Yeah.
Those all have. I mean, ESPN did a documentary on the Big East, and they all said we don't care anymore because the only way to stay relevant in the college athletics game is football. Because I saw somebody say this recently. I forget exactly who it was. It was a UConn fan. He said, your best case scenario, if you don't have a football team, is Gonzaga.
Yeah.
That's your best case scenario as an athletics program.
The thing is, in college football, the moneymaker via TV contracts is both in the postseason and in the regular season. The regular season is so valuable. The college basketball regular season is not. They make all their money on March Madness.
80% of their revenue comes from March Madness.
And you can
That's
do that
crazy.
from anywhere. You don't have to be in a certain conference.
Because you get in and then you get like points or whatever it is.
So there's no incentive to be in this knockdown drag out conference that is putting on bangers every Tuesday night or Thursday night on ESPN.
Unless you're a hardcore college basketball fan, you're not watching games in November, December of other teams unless it's your team. But once they get into the tournament, you're not even caring what conference is which.
Now, there's so many ways this can go. Do certain conferences start picking off these 7? Does it become 8 and it's a free-for-all? Does it become 8 and the 8 say we're sticking together and we want to start our own conference? That'd be weird. It seems like if they did that, then the other 14 would just come along and they would just start. Like it seems
So like where do you think Miami is? They think SEC is going to pick them up?
I think the SEC, if the SEC were wise, they would take 4 teams. They would take Florida State, Miami, they would take Clemson, and they would take North Carolina. But I don't know if North Carolina was split from NC State.
The first
But
3
then they
are
may have
no-brainers.
to take NC State because they're taking North Carolina.
I don't know, but I don't know if North Carolina's worth taking NC State if they don't want them.
UNC's a public school?
UNC is, yeah. Both are.
Both are.
Yeah.
Didn't USC and UCLA say they were a package deal?
a lot of these rivals are package deals, right?
See, I think it's going to turn into West Virginia Pitt. It's easier to do non-conference in basketball. Football, I think, is a different story. But also, it's not surprising that people don't care about Duke.
I think that the first three that you mentioned would be no-brainers for the SEC, but I don't know if you would have to take...
Duke's still a valuable brand, though.
Well,
like, I wonder who would pick
Here's the
them
thing,
up.
Casey. Here's what I was thinking. If I take, first of all, North Carolina is the biggest school in a very important state.
Right.
North Carolina is a lot of population, especially for a southern state, and it is the biggest school in that state.
Massive city.
I've seen massive city. There's more North Carolina graduates in the state of North Carolina than there are Duke graduates in the entire world.
Yeah.
That's how much bigger North Carolina is as a brand than Duke
And
is.
fans who actually went to the school.
Now, if I'm the SEC and I say, boy, I can really strengthen my football and my when I go back to the media and I'm trying to do more, I got Clemson now, I got Florida State, I got Miami, 3 big brands, but I can also strengthen the hell out of my basketball by bringing North Carolina
But
along.
North Carolina's still
North Carolina's not a bad football program.
It's a good football program.
Yeah.
They have a stadium that support a big stadium. They have also a history.
Yeah.
It's not like.
But would you be able to get SEC schools to swallow their
That's-
pride and accept
at
it? Like, would
Florida.
Georgia if Georgia Tech became the 8th, would Georgia let Georgia Tech in the SEC? Probably not.
Would Florida let Miami and Florida State?
Florida shouldn't have a vote. Florida shouldn't. They shouldn't. Florida shouldn't have a vote. You shouldn't hold the conference back to appease a team.
then
saying,
why
"Oh,
should Georgia have a vote? Because they're so much more.
I don't think
important.
any like if Mississippi State or Ole Miss had a vote, sure, we wouldn't want to share a state with another SEC school. If Auburn, Alabama, sure, they wouldn't
that's
want to
fair.
share
So
a
you're
state.
saying that if a state is going to be sharing a rivalry, they shouldn't have a vote.
Right.
So
It
like
makes
Florida,
it better.
like they're left out.
Because Auburn and Alabama have to play each other every year and split a state.
Yeah.
Mississippi State and Ole Miss have to split a state. Why does Georgia get to be special? Why does Florida get to
I
be
think
special?
it makes sports better. I think Auburn, Alabama being the same state.
In-state rivalries
Yes,
is the purest form of
Yes.
rivalry.
And they hate each other. We go down that. But, I mean, think about 2 years ago when it was announced with Texas and Oklahoma coming to the SEC, the whole stupid phrase gentleman's agreement kept coming up. That's going to come up for any type of realignment. For some reason,
Yeah, remember the alliance?
the alliance, like, I mean, it's just...
Pac-12.
But if the
and-
SEC
Ten?
isn't a landing spot for some of these teams, the Big Ten makes sense for any. Like,
Well,
the Big
maybe
Ten's
they
not
become
taking,
their own conference.
Well, I also don't feel bad for these schools that are going to get left out because, like, I mean, UConn's a school that got left out, and like, it's going to really affect these schools, and it's going to be tough, and you're going to have to find a new conference.
It's gonna
I
be
guess
tough.
like the American could find a way to smooth or like get in there and get some good guys. Like obviously Georgia Tech and the American would make sense.
I
So-
think it'll help with the arms race, though. Like holding Georgia Tech with their money or lack thereof to the same standard as a Clemson of Florida State. I think it kind of resets the bar, and it's gonna hurt for recruiting. It's gonna hurt for competition. But I think financially, it'll allow those schools to get left behind a breather.
I don't think anybody's getting left behind per se. I think it's a reshuffling of the basket. I think everybody's going to have a slot to fall into eventually. I mean, you don't just like when this reshuffling happens, you're not just going to have 8 schools on the West Coast and the Pac-12 just not have somewhere to go. Like we're going to figure it all out as we go. The SEC, basically what's going to happen over the next 10, 15 years, the Big Ten and the SEC are going to get who they want. Mm-hmm. And it's up to the others to either align together or start, heading for daylight wherever they can find daylight.
Unless there's a complete reshuffling, which I know that we've hypothetically talked about when we talk about the NCAA dying and these
Yeah.
conferences kind of saying, we don't want to be under your jurisdiction anymore. We're going to do what we want. And then all of a sudden it becomes like power conferences away from what we already see, that like nothing that exists
So I think
already happens.
if you add in Notre Dame and BYU, Power 5 teams are, 70 now, 71? Or 69? Last year it was 65, and then you brought in
4.
Four.
UCF, BYU,
Yeah.
and then in
Cincinnati.
the independents.
So I think you're at about 70. So
Mm-hmm.
can three leagues nationwide cover 70 teams? The SEC gets to 20, Big Ten gets to 20, and this
And then
is
it's
years
on.
out.
But there's Pac-12.
Yeah. Does Big 12 and Pac-12 merge at some point? I don't know.
I think there may be some teams that then it's like there's a Power 3, and then that's 50 teams, and then there's
A rogue league?
a mid 2, which is like the scraps of the East Coast and the West Coast, and then you almost find a a G5 that's still there too.
I think the teams that are in the Power 5 now will always be at the table.
I think a lot of them are concerned they won't be.
Yeah, I
Like if
think
you're
that's
Boston College right now.
I think that's doomsday prophecy though, right? I think
Boston College won't care that much because I think if you're in the Northeast, you'll be like kind of fine.
But that's what I'm saying is like if Boston College wasn't a Power 5 school, the outcry is not going to be there.
I think schools like Georgia Tech are concerned.
well, the thing about Boston College, and for every Boston College, there's a Syracuse, and for every Syracuse, there's another one close by.
That's the
there's a
thing
Pitt.
about
Like,
Boston
they're
College.
all going to be able to
I
group
think
together in some way.
the Northeast schools will be able to group together in a decent way if they want to.
Yeah.
And all of them can be like, hey, let's go back and remake the Big East in a way. And then also the basketball will be there. And then the football will be, it's not going to be top of the line, but at least there's regional rivalries and whatnot.
So the regional aspect of this is what's so interesting. And I know, Brandon, I wanted to ask you this because obviously when you first started watching college football, it was much more of a regional sport. I mean, it still
Yeah.
is, but we've gotten to a point now where you're seeing teams like USC and UCLA going to the Big Ten. Do you think we're going to potentially see a situation where even though college football is a much more national sport now because of the way TV is, that it could potentially go back to being regions? Because at this point, that seems like it's what makes the most sense.
But it's hard to imagine that because growing up, Saturday at 11:30 meant Jefferson Pilot Sports, SEC on JP Sports. Just a small little outfit, and they also did ACC, and there's ACC on Raycom, stuff like that.
Yep.
There was these. You would be able to watch an SEC game on JP Sports. It was a smaller budget production and smaller. The announcers were worse. The cameras were worse. Everything was worse. But now we don't live in a smaller college football anymore.
Right.
Everything is national. Everything is big. Everything is important. With NIL and with everything and money just pumping and flowing through the veins of college football, those small Saturdays aren't going to exist anymore. So even how do you put the toothpaste back in the tube once you go with everything blockbuster and everything huge and everything meaning everything? How do you then say, oh, but on Saturday we're going to have Georgia Tech, Wake Forest, and it doesn't really count in the big grand scheme of things, but it counts for what they're doing.
Well, I'm not going to pretend like I know everything about the TV contracts, but I totally agree with you from a TV contract standpoint because you're not going to want to tune in to a regional TV network. But from a regional aspect of these teams, because I mean, you talk about like the pods, what they're going to be doing in the SEC, the potential pods looks like it could have been old school regional teams being put together. And I know that it's so much easier to say than actually implement. But if you took the country and you said, okay, we're going to have 4 power conferences and it's going to be,
But it's
the
already
West,
over, though. Because
But if everything's reshuffling and it's just going to
But
be the
like,
SEC, I'm not saying it's ever
One of the
gonna make
reshuffles
sense.
just put USC and UCLA in the Big
UCLA.
Ten.
Right, but I'm saying eventually moving forward. This is obviously not going to happen within the next few years. But to me, my thought is like, what if you have like divisions and it's the North
would be
Division, the
great
South
if there
Division, the
was
West Division, the
4
East Division.
regionals.
Yeah, like
It
that'd
would be
sick.
phenomenal. That would be ideal, but I think just because like USC and UCLA just made that massive move, they had to beg politicians, beg the Board of Regents, or however you say that word.
Oh, it's not realistic,
And
but it would make the most sense.
It would make 100%. The best way to do it would be like if you could somehow push the reset button on all of this and just restart your franchise, and then you have it. But the issue is CBS isn't going to let, or
Right.
ESPN's not going to let USC and UCLA out of the deal. They just paid for that.
Yeah, and to do some things, like as long as you've got multiple networks televising the sport, CBS is never going to want ESPN to get an advantage. ESPN's never going to want NBC to get the advantage. So it's always going to be a back and forth. Now, could somewhere down the line you expand the playoff from 12 to 16 teams, and you have a
West,
a
East.
Southeast pod that's 4 teams, a West pod that's 4 teams, a Big Ten pod that's 4. Like, I don't know. Everything's on the fucking table. It does make me a little sad that like just the idea of North Carolina Duke is very important to college sports. Money could break that up. Money could end that. Like if North Carolina Duke isn't sacred, what is?
Well, if Texas A&M isn't sacred, what is? Like we've already gone through this. You know what I mean?
I don't think Texas A&M carries the weight that North Carolina Duke basketball carries.
But basketball, we've learned, is irrelevant.
Also, but I think it's easier to play in
Did
basketball.
you watch Duke UNC this year?
You're right. We've learned it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
Right.
I did not.
We're learning that everything other than the dollar is irrelevant.
On that,
Is Auburn, Alabama? You could get to enough money where Auburn, Alabama's not relevant, where Ohio State, Michigan's not relevant.
Yeah, you're right.
But I think that, I mean, because, yes, Duke, North Carolina is the greatest college basketball rivalry, but they're going to take it and look at it and say, okay, well, we don't give a shit. They can, like Katie said, playing non-conference rivalries in basketball is much easier to do.
Here's my thing. If we get to a point where they say, you know what, the money's too much, we don't give a shit about Duke, North Carolina, eventually, what if the SEC says, we don't give a fuck. We're making enough money. Fuck Ole Miss and Mississippi State. They can go somewhere. Or other conferences say, fuck this
You
team.
are
They can go
right.
somewhere.
But
Fuck.
then
anybody is at the chopping block at all times.
Then you're asking, okay, then we have to have a governing body of college football, which then presents a bigger issue because the governing body of college football we have now sucks.
Well, that's where
and
we're
every
headed.
governing body we have
That's where
stinks.
I think we're heading towards TV just calling all the shots for college football.
And it probably it's been that way for a little bit. And we're
Yeah.
just realizing it. It probably started 10 years ago that they were calling the shots.
Yeah.
And now the public is just like, we're like the sheep just realizing it now.
Well, and
Yeah.
also
and we're standing in the slaughter line.
Yeah,
Yes.
like it's over. Like what we knew college sports as is over. And for me, it doesn't matter to me because what I knew as college sports when I was a kid and grew up and fell in love with college sports was ripped away from me in 2012. Like it was over, done with. Syracuse gone, Rutgers gone. It's all gone. And then I mean that's not to say to compare rivalries, but these things are going to happen, and it's unfortunate.
The conference that I grew up watching as a fan is a completely different conference than my school is in now. I mean,
100%.
so
No,
it's-
there's a billion things.
Yeah, so, but I think that we've also known that not only do TV execs call the shots, and we've said this a million times on this show, Greg Sankey is more powerful than whoever it would be at NCAA commissioner.
Well, yeah, because
NCAA
Greg
president.
Sankey can now decide who he wants to come in.
Exactly. So,
and
like,
like
you
maybe
take the
he's like, you know what?
commissioners and-
Actually, we'll take NC State because if that means if we defeat the ACC, then it's ours.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's secession. It's like
Good
I don't
reference,
need
Jack.
that, but they're critical to you, so I'm going to take them.
exactly, and it's like your loss is my gain, and I don't. NC State, go play Vandy. Like that's not. That sounds insulting. NC State, you're a little bit higher than Vandy.
No.
Katie loved it. But I mean, you look at you look at college football. We know that it's king. If you're the NCAA right now, if you're in power at the NCAA, you have to be looking at this and being like, "Holy shit!" Like they're about to just tell
Where's
us
Virginia and Virginia Tech going?
Where's
Virginia,
Who
Big
wants
Ten.
Virginia Tech?
But who wants Virginia Tech? Big Ten has these academic standards because they're assholes. But Virginia Tech ain't meeting those standards. And I don't mean that as an insult. It's just like there's this bizarre, like even Yale wouldn't make it. It's a weird.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I don't know
unless
what.
they start all making their own conferences.
I mean,
but
this
then
could
what?
be this could be like 2 or 3 teams in this magnificent 7 might get led down this path, and they look up in a little while, and the other 4 have left.
From a
And
regional.
they're like, what? Well, we just
well,
broke
I
something
think
up.
the three. I think Clemson, Florida State, and Miami are like, all right,
Yeah.
guys,
yeah.
lead them on, like bring them here.
Yeah.
And then
UNC, I
once,
think, is not even that level.
Once
now.
I think UNC will be like they're almost like
They're like a
they're
2.
in on it a little bit. It'd
But
be
they're
like,
all talking shit.
and they're like, we need 8. Let's get 5 more.
So UNC is like the Survivor guy that's in so many alliances. He's not actually in any.
Or
He's talking to this group, and he's
Yeah.
talking to that group,
I'm a
and then
little nervous. Like we're the top of the pack. Like we're just
I think
about
UNC
you know where
UNC will be
is?
fine.
They have a group text, right? So it's Florida State, Miami, Clemson, and North Carolina have a group text. Then they've also left North Carolina
Clemson
out
and
of a
Florida
group text.
State have the group, which
Yeah.
is personal, because
Yeah.
they're like,
Yes.
all right, let's get this
don't
going.
think
Miami,
Miami?
they're like, all right, we'll take you, whatever. UNC, it's like, okay, we got to lead them
Okay, it's
along.
'cause we
Then
need
the
that.
others, it's like,
Yeah.
promise them that it's going to be this glorious thing. It's like Firefest. It's
Yes.
like, and then
and
then you look around.
Meanwhile, Georgia Tech's texting everybody in the conference.
like, what the fuck's going on,
we're
guys? Why aren't you responding?
Yes, it's the
What happened to our group chat?
It's the group chat, and
Hey,
instead
did
of like
Virginia answer you back?
Boston College is like, what the fuck? What's going on?
Oh,
You know, it's like whenever you're trying to add somebody to a group text, like, hey, I'm going to add this person. And you're like, no, just make a different one so we can still talk shit about them in this one. Maybe that's just a girl thing. I don't know.
No,
but
it's
that's
a thing. Oh, no,
it's a
yeah,
thing.
but that's a thing. So, I mean, I think if you're Clemson, Florida State, and Miami right now, you know that you're fine. The other teams that are left out of this magnificent 7, I mean, they're going to be okay. But the bigger picture is just what is college football going to look like in 10 years?
or I want to throw a crazy idea at you. What if ESPN's like, you know what? You guys are right. The TV deal is kind of weird. Well, let's redo it, and the ACC just floats on like normal. What if that happened? That's not this.
Well,
They have such a good
that's-
deal that I don't think they're.
But
gonna
I'm just
go-
saying, what if to preserve the quality of what they've got right now, to preserve things? What if the 7 teams got what they wanted and they were happy in the ACC, and we continue to have an ACC?
I feel like ESPN has too big of an ego for that.
It needs to hit like the 11:59 seconds, and then it's like the Magnificent Seven has every duck in a line. Like they're gonna do everything. ESPN will do everything in their power not.
Well, most
to
of these guys are
budge.
going to a place where ESPN will still own them, the SEC.
Yeah.
So,
Also, yeah.
like Clemson, Florida State, and Miami leaving.
But they're
the
going
ACC.
to. They want to go to a place where the ACC is going to give them more money. So if ESPN said, you know what, actually, you realigning and us having to redo the SEC contract,
Yeah, won't they have to
it's going to
redo-
cost us more money than just redoing your deal right now.
Yeah, because Clemson can't just come in and be like, "Oh, I'm taking part of your pie from Mississippi State." It's like,
No, they would have
like,
to.
we have to redo this.
They would have to redo a 20-team contract.
and you
But
guys would
wouldn't-
get more money.
But wouldn't you,
We're in one of the, as long as everything holds up, because I think the SEC is going to take care of the SEC guys all the
No,
way
I
through.
think you guys are more
Even
than fine.
Vanderbilt.
Oh, we're in one of the softer. Yeah, we're just under.
Vandy's fine.
We're under the
always,
wings of
as
the
long-
SEC, just like
They need
comfortable
academic
sailing
standards.
here.
Just happy to be here?
standards.
Just happy
And
to
then
be
the-
here.
Mississippi
then the
State's just
baseball
happy
excuse.
to be here?
You
The
guys just happy to be here
basketball's
too
decent,
now.
Yeah.
No.
You guys are just happy to be here too.
Well, from a winning standpoint, yes,
Yeah.
but from a
Not
money
from
standpoint,
money.
I think
From
we're fine.
actually on
You
that,
guys would have been fine in the Big 12 too.
Yeah.
You could have been.
on that
can
money
I
standpoint.
say something that's unrelated to anything we've already discussed?
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of preseason predictions of guys saying like A&M 10-2.
I don't want to talk about it.
Oh, there's
Where are they getting
expectations
that?
for
I don't wanna
USC.
talk about
I'm
it.
in on A&M this year.
You in on
Shut
A&M?
up, Jack. No,
What?
you. No. Okay, first of all, again, I would like to remind everybody that's listening and all the people
All
that
we do is
complain.
talk about
oh,
A&M."
when Casey was gone, we didn't have to hear about A&M.
We did talk a lot about A&M.
Brandon and Jack talk about A&M just as much as I
No,
do.
we talked a lot about them.
All right. Well, we need to have some show discussions here.
I
okay?
don't want to talk about A&M.
Okay, we won't talk about A&M.
Thank
Let's
God.
have some show discussions. Show of hands, if you're gonna, because
Say it out loud for
we've done
podcasts.
it. We've done it multiple times
point.
over the years.
More
show of
people
hands
listen than watch.
is if you're gonna be a Texas is back guy this year.
For the record, no one's raising their hands for those listening at home.
I'm like,
I got burned last year. I got burned last year.
but like my red ass hand is like right here.
The blisters have just healed.
Yeah, I got blisters.
The problem is I feel like I was just a year early maybe.
But the only thing.
No,
is,
don't do it to yourself. Okay, I have a question for you. Jack, you and I can raise our hands. Show of hands of who's going to finally give Michigan the credit that they've been owed.
I don't understand what you mean by credit. I've given them plenty of credit.
Are they going to beat Ohio State this year?
Yeah, I would think so.
He's
Oh,
been.
wow, there
and
he is.
when you were.
Penn State's gonna beat them though.
When your kid grew up to be 24 years old,
Oh, he's been- he's- okay, I missed it.
He's actually been pretty complimenting, or like,
Oh, good.
what's the word?
Complimentary?
Complimentary
So-
of Michigan.
What I am hearing from this side of the room is that you guys are back on the Texas is back.
I'm asking.
You're back
We're gonna have to
on the
start.
back?
We're gonna have to start drafting our teams and
If they
getting our
beat
takes
Alabama,
ready
we
for the
can.
season. We got to start getting
Or if they beat.
getting our plans ready. We got to start getting our plans ready for this season. So who's gonna beat your team this year? Like,
Besides
Oh,
Home team.
because we have our secondary teams.
I mean, every year we jump on somebody. That
I
year,
got my player.
It's too soon.
that year I jumped on Notre Dame and they went to the playoff.
I mean, Michigan over here.
I'm all in on Carson Beck.
You have been all in on Carson.
I
Beck.
think he's
We were
going to
on
be number
Miami
one
last
pick.
year,
Or
Brandon.
well, Caleb will be number one pick,
Yeah,
but
we were on Miami last
I was
year.
on USC last year too.
Miami was such that didn't even make sense.
No, I don't know. Tyler Van Dyke really.
I might jump on
fucked us.
Miami again.
Nah,
Don't do
they-
it. Don't do
I might
it. Don't
jump.
do it. So when do we have to have decided if
I don't
we're-
know. I just it's gonna be here before you know it.
It is.
We haven't got the preview magazines yet.
You know who may really?
I ordered one.
May like be like.
Who?
I think there could be a chance Tennessee's just like
Oh man.
not bad Tennessee, but 7-5 and like.
My only issue there is because if not Tennessee, who in that division? Because
Who's going to win all the games?
well, Georgia's going to win theirs.
Yeah.
Right? But is Florida going to step up and win some of those games? Is Kentucky? Is South Carolina? South Carolina's win total was a little shocking to me when I saw it. You know what it is?
What?
6.5.
Did you think it would be higher?
I thought it would be like at least 7.5.
Well, when you
maybe.
got to play in the SEC and you got to play Georgia, and do they play Bama this year? Who's
I
their
don't think
cross?
they do. I don't know who their crossover is because I know it's not us. I know it's not Ole Miss.
I think it's Tennessee.
Well, it couldn't be because they're in the same division.
1 second.
They played A&M last year.
A&M again, I think.
They played Arkansas last year. Oh, they always play A&M.
Yeah.
Mississippi State.
Yeah, they always.
Oh, we did play them this year. Never
A&M.
mind. I forgot we played them in Columbia.
Are we? So I know we did this in 2020 and people hated it, but we drafted our teams because
Yeah.
we didn't know who was going to be playing.
People hated it.
Well, people were like, "You can't do that. You can't take
Well, that
other
was
teams."
a fake season. Like,
Yeah,
even looking
but
back on it.
But what I'm hearing you say is that we need to start figuring out who we're going to
I'm
be
just
putting our
saying,
chips behind.
as a professional podcaster,
yes.
you need to start go ahead and taking your ducks and putting them in a row and figuring out who your horses are this
If
year.
you show up in a Texas is back shirt again and think I'm going to be surprised, like, just don't even set yourself up for that. You tried to do it last year.
A&M's got Bama at home.
I might
Don't do it.
jump on Texas again. Listen,
That's okay.
hold
That's
on.
okay, but
Let
I'm
me
not
call
going to be
a timeout.
surprised.
Let me call a timeout.
Okay,
I'm talking
fine,
to Jack.
fine,
I'm talking
fine,
to Jack.
fine.
You
Just
guys
me
said
and you
Texas
talking.
Alabama is a night game?
This is, by the way,
Huh.
this is
Night
deja
game.
vu. You did this exact same thing last year.
I need to talk to Jack for a second.
Okay, fine.
Jack, let's look at this.
What if we
logically.
just-
Look at this logically. Okay, Kansas State ain't going to go back to back in the Big 12, right? TCU can't be as good
I
as
would
they
say
were.
Xanax, but
Oklahoma's
no.
got a bad coach. So
Used to.
if I'm thinking who in the Big 12 is going to step up, it's got to be Texas.
Why don't we flip it? We just OU. We confuse
You wanna
the
go
boomer
OU?
Sooners.
No, no, no.
Venable- We're talking.
No.
We're talking.
No,
over
I'm
here.
interrupting. Because I'm on OU this year.
But she does always.
You've been on OU multiple years. You
So
can't
she
have
gets
OU every
first pick.
Okay, all right, hold on.
Jack has a
Brent
point.
Venable sucks though.
Yeah, I know.
Like there's a world where he sucks.
I have been on
Okay,
OU
There's
but
a
so
world
many
they go
times.
11-1.
But look,
I can't
look,
be on OU.
look.
I like USC.
In the Big 12, Iowa State.
So
No.
Riley, not you,
Baylor?
Oklahoma.
TCU, no. Any of those new teams? It might be Texas. This could be the year we've been waiting on.
that run Texas goes on in November's tough.
I can't wait to freezing cold takes, you guys.
See, here's the thing: is they're going to do this every year.
And they're gonna
And
get
they're
right.
All I'm
right
saying
eventually.
is this: if we
Eventually.
don't do it, and we're sitting there September 19th in the third quarter, and Texas is up 24-10 over Alabama, we're going to be kicking ourselves.
It's the 9th, right?
The 9th, whatever. If it's 24-10 in the third quarter, we're going to be kicking ourselves.
Brandon, also.
They'll be right before
I
no,
am
no, 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 no.
talking
This,
to
this,
you.
this is
ACC contract
helping
will
your
run out
argument.
before you're right.
This is helping your argument.
Nah,
Also,
but
you only have one more year of them in the Big 12, so you might as well roll with them.
Quinn Ewers,
Because if not, you can't roll with them in the
Naylor.
SEC.
They have Naylor.
Nair.
Naylor's the baseball
Brandon.
player.
Yeah.
Brandon, let me
They
tell you
have-
something.
Worthy.
They have Sanders, the tight end. Then they have Billingsley.
But they
in
don't
year
have
2.
Billingsley anymore.
Oh,
Brandon.
what happened to him?
He's not on the team anymore.
Let me tell you something.
Somebody got you on that one last week.
Oh, really?
You better just do it, because if not, you can't say Texas is back when they're in the SEC. You can't.
I can do whatever I want.
Well, but you won't.
I do what I want.
You won't.
I do what I want.
You won't. You would never say Texas is back if they're in your conference.
You know what? You can do things you never said you were going to do.
That's true. Like have a kid.
That was my point.
Brandon, go ahead and say Texas is back. Do it. Fucking do it.
I don't
Somebody,
want to.
I said
It's early.
The
Say
Big
it.
East picks up scraps in football conference.
early.
BC,
Say it.
Cuse, UConn, Duke, Louisville, Pitt, G-Tech, Wake Forest. Someone quote tweeted and said the TV deal for this conference would be worth like $20 to $25.
Say it.
Come on, dude.
Hey.
What an
Hey,
asshole.
you know what? More people listen than watch. And like exponentially
All right,
more.
all right, all
So
right,
what
all
you
right,
just
all right.
did, people aren't hearing you. So don't be a pussy.
June is when we start picking our teams.
But what did you just do with your hands?
I was having some sort of seat.
You know what? It's the signs. And I don't want to be Jerry, but look at the color of this seat, man.
Look at the color of your seat.
It's like in between. Yeah.
Yeah.
Noah saw what I saw, which means it's going to be clipped.
Noah definitely didn't even know what this meant a few years like before this, but he knew what it meant, obviously. But it was like,
Say it.
First
with
of
your
all,
chest.
First of all, I'm not going to say it, but
With
when
your
I do
chest.
say it, you're going to feel it. Oh my God, you're going to
No,
feel
it won't surprise you. That's
When
what
I
I'm saying.
say
Like,
it, I'm going to
don't
say
do,
it. I'm going to
Brandon,
fucking say it.
Don't do some like grandiose thing like you did last year where you're like, oh, I'm
Look
just
who
wearing an
you're
extra
talking
shirt,
to.
and then you took the shirt off, and I'm supposed to be surprised you have a Texas Longhorn logo on.
Oh,
I know you're gonna have a
funny.
Texas Longhorn logo on because you're gonna say Texas is back, and I know it, and you know it, and the people listening know it.
Other news.
Before we go on too much past the money, ironically, just passed my feed. There are 16 basketball teams that made over $20 million this year, at least from revenue. There's 66 college football teams
Yep.
that made over 20 million.
66, and there's 65 teams.
The
in
top
Power
one for
5.
basketball is Duke at 45 million. The top one is for football. I think it was Oklahoma at
100?
101.
Yeah.
Like,
Oklahoma
it's-
made more the last year. I thought.
And this is just for the teams. So I don't even know this is revenue from TV deals.
You don't
All right.
even know how
Isn't
to.
Alabama
Yeah, those
normally at
economics are so like
I think
hard.
Tennessee's always at number one for some reason. Tennessee's like always got
Ohio
this-
State's
This
always
one
really high,
has
too.
Oklahoma, Texas, Georgia, Notre Dame,
Texas
Michigan,
is always
Alabama,
high.
Tennessee at
Texas
7,
is always
A&M 8, Utah 9, Arkansas 10.
Where's Mississippi State?
Utah.
Starkville. All right.
Where's?
In other news,
That's funny.
I'm still scrolling.
Oh,
UNC
this, I
is
think
more
this
than
is a
Mississippi
big
State.
deal.
in college football, I always like to see up and comers and coaches really break through and do something they haven't done before. Kirby Smart got a 5-star player this week. Dylan Raiola, the number 1 ranked recruit of 2024, has committed to Georgia. Now, I have a take on this that I will unleash unless you would like to
No,
claim,
you
claim
go.
take status. Anybody want to claim take status on this one? All right.
Reverse take status.
Dylan Raiola, the number 1 recruit in 2024, has committed to Georgia. And on the surface, yeah, I get it. It makes sense. They've won 2 straight national titles. They know how to recruit 5-stars. I'm sure they take care of 5-stars. Kirby Smart knows how to go out and get talent, and it is the best program in America, getting even better on paper. As a college football fan, it kind of makes me sick. It makes me sad. Now, Georgia fans are going to be like, oh, you shouldn't get like that. No, you should be happy about that because Kirby Smart is not in the interest. He is not in the business of making college football more interesting. He is in the business of making Georgia a better football team. So it is in his best business interest to go out and get every good player, get all the best quarterbacks and everything. To me, as a college football fan at large, Dylan Raiola, the number 1 recruit in college football, is so much more interesting at Nebraska. He's so much more of a story at Nebraska. He is so much. I want to watch him. I want to leech onto him at Nebraska where his dad played, where he can be a hero, where he can be a star, where he can have a statue. At Georgia, he's just the latest 5-star that continues a chain of 5-star players. Again, Kirby Smart doesn't have to answer to me. He has to answer to Georgia fans, and he does the right things. He gets the players. But it hurts college football as a whole to see when Georgia just continues to get the guys and get the guys and get the guys and get the guys. I wish I'd rather see him in Nebraska. That's more interesting to me.
What you're basically saying, and this is obviously an argument we've had on this podcast for years and years, is that you're buying into the recruiting hype of this guy, which means that, like, because I mean, say he goes to Nebraska and he fails, we're never going to talk about this kid again.
No, I disagree. If he were to go to Nebraska, he is their savior. He is their
But what if he fails?
hope. He is everything. If he fails, we laugh at Nebraska. If he goes to Georgia and doesn't turn out, he's just going to be replaced by another 5-star, another 4-star. He'll probably transfer to Nebraska in 2 years anyway. But to me, Georgia and Alabama and Ohio State occupying this spot where every big-time recruit just goes to one of those 3 schools is the most boring part of college football.
But what it could be the Quinn Ewers situation too, where he goes to Ohio State as the number 1 recruit ever, the highest rated recruit as a senior in high school, and then now we talk about him even more because that decision didn't turn out. So what if he goes to Georgia, realizes he's not going to start,
well, that's that,
and then he transfers?
That's an animal. That's a bridge we cross when we get to it, right? But on the surface, I just think it's better for college football to disperse these guys throughout more. And now, but again, Kirby Smart doesn't have to answer to that standard. He has to answer to, I'm the swinging dick on the block now, and I'm going to get the players, and we're going to go win championships.
He's doing what Nick Saban has done for a decade.
He's doing he's doing what the big time college programs do. I just the steamroller that is big time programs over other programs in recruiting does get into a slog sometimes. Like Georgia over the last 5 years has gotten 35 stars. I'm just throwing a number out there. I'm sure they haven't gotten that many, but
I think it's close.
At what point is it like, okay, they're just going to get every good player? A 5-star player with family ties going to Nebraska. Now we got a fucking story now. We have something with some emotion behind it. Instead, he's just committed. He's just the latest in a long line. And one more thing about this, and then I'll get off my little soapbox. The one thing Kirby Smart hasn't proven he or his staff can do at Georgia is turn out a 5-star quarterback. He hasn't. Justin Fields, he didn't let him play. He transfers. JT Daniels didn't really work out. Jake Fromm was a high 4, low 5-star guy that started as a freshman there and got worse his second and third years. He developed backwards. And then he takes a walk-on in Stetson Bennett and turns him into a national champion. So he hasn't shown that he can take a star quarterback and churn him into a big-time NFL caliber player. That hasn't happened at all. Doesn't mean it can't happen, but he hasn't done it yet. That's the one position he hasn't developed into a big-time NFL starter.
You could even go as far back as Jacob Eason. Yeah, I looked at this as almost it hyped me up for this season of college football because I think this is every second that passes, I think more and more about how big of a year this is for Alabama because I think that grip that they had on the world of college football, the SEC and whatnot, it's slowly going away. Obviously, Georgia won back-to-back national championships, but you let them do it again.
It's not slow anymore.
It's not slow, and it's not like, and that's even if Alabama doesn't play Georgia this year. But then I think to myself, wait, Alabama just brought in the number 1 recruiting class, best recruiting class ever this year. But I also think it's almost, and I'm not sad about it. Georgia fans will be annoying, but the Alabama dynasty is not falling apart to its knees, but Georgia may be passing them. It's like they're in a race, and Georgia that car is getting a little bit where you can't come back anymore because you got an old engine that, yeah, it's very good, but man, there's a lot of miles on it.
Well, and there's also the element, too, of, it's not just coaches going out and getting those guys anymore because the NIL deals are there. So it's like, I don't know who the biggest booster at Nebraska is, but wouldn't you think that part of the reason that this kid's going to Georgia is because he's probably getting a lot of money from Georgia and NIL deals?
Yeah, he was originally committed to Ohio State. He decommitted. I guess he had this great relationship with Georgia, the recruiting coordinator who unfortunately passed away with Devin Willock.
Listen, I've got to interject right there. I don't know who's advising the kid.
I didn't appreciate it either.
I don't know who's making the graphics, but when he tweeted his recruitment graphic or his commitment graphic, it was him with his arm around the recruiting director who passed away
with an angel.
Harambe. Who made this decision?
He did. That was a specific ask he asked for, I believe. Also, if I'm Georgia, I don't know if I particularly love it either because the Willock family is currently suing Jalen Carter for enticing, I believe. It's a civil case, but enticing street racing. I guess he had a really good relationship with them, and he quote tweeted and said fly high, Devin and Chandler. That obviously this awful situation, but that's not to say that's why he committed to Georgia. Obviously, there's a billion reasons. I don't think he was ever going to Nebraska. That kid wanted to play big time college football.
So, which is my real problem with kind of where recruits are in this day and age, right? That kid wants to play big time college football. I wish somehow you could make these kids think you can go somewhere that isn't Georgia, Alabama, or Ohio State, but because you're there, it becomes big time college football. Instead, there's 3 or 4 factories where these guys just go punch a clock and go work for 4 years, and they don't stand out. And I think it does hurt the college football product a bit.
You're not wrong.
I wish instead of like right now, the top 10 quarterbacks in this country committed to number 1 is committed to Georgia, number 2 committed to Alabama, number 3 is different. Number 3 is committed to Florida State, number 4 to Ohio State, number 5 to Florida State, number 6 to Georgia. 2 of the top 6 to Georgia. Like, if you're the
that kid will probably go somewhere else.
Yeah, like Michigan, Tennessee, on and on and on. Like, you can go stand out. You can go make something of another team. You don't have to just because you don't have to go be the next Stetson Bennett. You can go be the whoever you want to be at wherever you want to go.
But doesn't that kind of fall on who's ever recruiting them and now who's ever paying them to go to those schools? Because like I said, I know Nebraska obviously is not where big time football is happening right now. But if somebody goes in there and says, hey, this is your NIL deal, here's X amount of money, and you could turn this program back into what it was in the 90s.
I think Nebraska has a decent amount of NIL
right,
too.
So that to me is that's a pitch that now used to have to be under the table, right?
Yeah.
Now it can be on top of the table and be like, here's all this money to resurrect us.
Can we be honest real quick. And I just want to throw out an idea. If you like the idea, you can agree, whatever. Do we really think under-the-table money has gone away? Because
No.
these teams that were recruiting at a high level before it was legal to pay NIL are still recruiting at a high level when NIL was supposed to disperse. So, to me, yeah, there's NIL deals. I really feel like the under-the-table money is there just as much as it always has been. But I read an article today that's very interesting that might dovetail into this topic. It was on 3, and it was the NIL is kind of resetting itself right now, whereas we're coming up on the 2-year anniversary of NIL being a thing, a legal thing. And according to NIL, numbers on NIL for quarterbacks this year is drastically, like last year, Nico Amelieva got close.
Yeah, no, I think.
He
Sounds
got
great.
a report of $8 million.
Yeah.
This year, the reports on quarterback and their offers is not getting out of 6 figures. It's $500,000, $600,000, $700,000. You're not getting these huge $1 million deals. So is this NIL coming down to where it's going to settle to, or is this just a matter of fact that it's May and the NIL collectives haven't ramped up their huge offers
But the
yet?
quarterbacks are always going to get the most money. That's true across
Correct.
the board.
And they set the market.
And the quarterback cycle for this recruiting
Is
class
weak.
is a little bit weaker, and also it's almost finished. As you were saying, there's not a lot of question marks left in that top 10. I think almost everybody in the top 10
There's
is.
one.
There's one. There we go.
Number 3, Elijah Brown.
Okay, there we go. Where's he from?
Santa Ana, California.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
He's
now, obviously, these kids haven't
that he knows
signed
it.
yet, but a lot of them, at least I was watching an On 3 podcast the other day, a lot of the consensus within the recruiting circles is that the quarterbacks are pretty much finished at this point. They have their schools, and yes, maybe somebody will flip, but Dylan was going to be the last one to fall. There'll be another guy who's committed to Georgia, though, decommit. He'll go to...
Do you think like Dylan texted him and was like, "Hey man," was like, "Heads up"?
No, I don't
I'm
even
coming."
think...
No, I think he just aced him out.
I do too, but like I wonder if that's a standard, if
No,
that's just like to not
I
talk
almost
about.
feel
I
like
wanna
that's
ask you-
good for that kid because it's like, right away, it's a
Yes.
cold world.
Now I want to ask you, I mean, this guy's from Connecticut.
Who?
The guy. The quarterback.
Dylan Raiola?
No,
No,
Ryan Puglisi.
Yeah.
The
Avon.
other one.
Where's
Avon?
he go?
He's from Avon, Connecticut.
Oh, he goes to AOF. Yeah, he's actually good.
He's the one that's committed to Georgia. He's the number 6 quarterback in the country committed to Georgia.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
12.
Well, whatever. I'm on 3.
Number 24.
Well, I'm on 3.
We like On 3 better here.
Fine.
We're an On 3 podcast.
I'll
Well,
do,
don't say that too loud because they actually do have competing podcasts.
Never
They
mind.
have good guys over there, though. We like Shannon Terry.
I bring the
There's
counter
one guy that
viewpoint all
wouldn't
the
come on
time.
the
I'll continue.
podcast. But
Jack, why
whatever.
don't you just start a Barstool
Yeah.
sports recruiting
Nah,
service?
Can I
that's
out
too much.
Can I out that dick?
He
Who?
no, don't. I think there was some.
Shannon, you got somebody that
He
would
knows.
try-
Shannon knows.
I mean, like, come on.
What happened?
I'll tell you after.
Okay, he'll tell you.
I'm not doing. That's too much work. It's
That's a
crazy
full-time
amount of
job.
work. I'll just watch the other YouTube shows about it.
Fair.
Like I feel like when you come to knowing college football, you either know on the field current events or you know recruiting. Very few
Recruiting's a
people know
big.
both. I've given up. I just listen to you with recruiting.
Recruiting's a big, like, the people that truly cover it. Katie's
Yeah.
right. Like, you're on the road so much. The camp circuit.
Well, this is and their world's about to kick up a couple of notches because not only are the camps this summer aren't really about the 2024 recruits as much, but it's when they really get to learn the 2025,
Yeah, and then
2026
they,
recruits, and 2027.
7v7. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like insane. High school games don't even matter as much anymore.
No, they don't.
Your question about NIL readjusting, it feels like right now, just like we said last year, it's like people are going to be paying this astronomical amount of money. They're not going to be doing that forever. Right now, it almost feels like, and I know this quarterback class, as Jack has said, is not great, but it feels like it's almost like a dip that's not going to be as low in the future. Like it's like, okay, we paid way too much for people. Now we're not going to pay anywhere near enough, and it's going to even out somewhere.
That would be a huge question for somebody like a Shannon Terry, somebody that works in recruiting 24/7 that knows the actual numbers that they're getting. I'll send messages to guys and be like, hey, is this actually a real number? And sometimes they'll be like, yeah, it's crazy. Or they'll be like, nah, don't listen to that. But those guys know because they know everybody. And then the coaches know them. And they were like, so they know all the numbers that are going around.
It's in like
I
20
don't.
years, whenever we see a graph of it, it's going to be just like a huge spike the first couple years and then like a really low dip. And then at some point it's going to hit and I don't know if it's
that's-
going to be closer to 8 million or if it's going to be closer to high six figures, but it's going to start to just kind of steadily go up, I would think, once people figure out how to do it. Nobody knows how to do this.
You're gonna
Listen,
need
right,
a few
listen.
quarterbacks
Nobody
to
knows how to
I can
seriously
do
bust.
You can talk recruiting stars or whatever. I can just tell you, looking at some of these names, some of these guys ain't going to make it. Like, you got good names for quarterback. Dylan Raiola, pretty strong quarterback name. I can see where we're going to be calling his name in 3 years.
But you know what, though? To your
Julian
point,
Cyan, okay, that's a guy.
Dylan Raiola sounds better at Nebraska than Georgia.
Yeah, but Luke Cromenhoke, you're fucked. Come on, Luke Cromenhoke, don't even try. Aaron Noland, come on.
Walker White.
Aaron Noland is legit.
Aaron Noland, come on.
Aaron Noland's he's going to Ohio
You know
State
what's
too.
crazy about this list that I'm looking at? Georgia has
It's really air.
Dylan Raiola, the number one quarterback, committed. Then and he's from from Phoenix. Then they have Ryan Puglisi from Avon, Connecticut. The number 4 quarterback in the country, Aaron Nolan, is from Fairburn, Georgia.
He's going to Ohio State.
The number 5 quarterback from Savannah, Georgia. The number 7 quarterback from Savannah, Georgia. Like, the number 10 quarterback, Macon, Georgia. Like, it's amazing Georgia sucked so long, because they are in a state with that has the talent. They're not even getting one of the top 4 quarterbacks in their state, and they're still going to come out smelling like a fucking rose.
I know when we talk recruiting, state-wise, it's always California, Florida, and Texas.
I think Georgia's way up there. Louisiana's also pretty good. New Jersey's good. Ohio's good. But I think,
Georgia's always around the top 5.
If you were saying the top 3, I think it's California, Florida, and Texas. And I think probably Florida number 1.
In terms of, like, recruits?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Louisiana always has a pretty good batch as well. Louisiana specializes. There's something going on with LSU. They find a way. And you remember that stat, Katie, that you read to us about that nobody develops 3 stars like LSU?
Oh, yeah.
They find these kids early and say, you're not going to camps.
Yeah.
And they're like, you'll
We're
stay a
keeping you in the
3-star.
shadows.
And they're like, you'll come here,
Yeah.
but you're staying a 3-star. They do something down there, and I'm gonna break it one of these days.
Dude, if you
TikTok.
looked at the
Do it
state of
on TikTok.
Louisiana and you saw some of the guys that stayed 3 stars, guys at Mississippi State's gotten out of there because they stayed 3
Yes.
stars. Dak Prescott never got to 4 stars. He's from Houghton, Louisiana. Like, there was just on and on and on. You're right. But LSU just has a stranglehold over everything that happens in that state. Are you about to touch? Were you about to pinch me? What were you
No.
about to do with your fingers?
I just wanted to touch the microphone.
Why?
Huh? I don't know. It's like a nervous tick.
Okay.
No, I just wanted to.
All right. So I wanted to do one more thing before we go any further. We have any more news there, Katie? I don't think we do. We're not really.
Don't think so.
You know what you should talk about before we go anywhere?
Yes. Yes, I do. Well, first of all, I have 2 things to talk about. You think I should talk about food or gambling?
I think gambling. Gambling's fun.
I talk about gambling because there's no better place to gamble on this earth than the Barstool Sportsbook.
That's a
Barstool
fact.
Sportsbook app. Please download this thing right now. You're going to have exclusives. You go to the exclusive tab. You're going to have some great baseball bets, like you're going to have Mr. Ice. You're going to have all these great exclusives that you can only have. Trusted Data with Stephen Shea, one of the best
NBA
basketball
playoffs.
gamblers in the world. Check out all those on the Barstool Sportsbook app. And, of course, when the season comes around, we'll have some parlays and stuff. She'll have some exclusives. I'll have some exclusives. You'll be able to bet with us. You'll be able to bet against us. But the Barstool Sportsbook now offering a $1,000 bonus for new players. If your first bet loses, get up to $1,000 in bonus cash. So download, create an account today. Use code ROUGH to unlock your $1,000 bonus. You must be – well, no, excuse me. Be sure to use code ROUGH to unlock your $1,000 bonus. Terms apply. You must be 21 or over. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER.
And this book is still pretty new in Massachusetts, and the Celtics are, making a little run here.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, they are.
new
And then Red
players
Sox.
listening. Yeah.
Yep.
I'd say
What?
maybe not.
College football will
Bruins.
be here before you know it as well.
Sometimes.
Yeah, they're
Bruins, they're out.
Yeah, they
So
ducked out quick.
Disappointing. College football will be here. God, it's like what, 100 days or something?
I ordered a magazine the other day.
Which one?
Athlon.
I get them all. Like people say, "Oh, don't read that one." No. I read all of them.
No, there's one to not read. I've been on the train for a bit. I'll say it loud and clear. I think Phil Steele is a waste of time. It is too many numbers. I think it doesn't give you the narrative.
He also doesn't add us in the book, so.
Well,
Remember last
I
year?
do.
Who he added?
I'm
who
just
he
going to get in
didn't?
the boat with Katie. I think the Phil Steele is first of all, he loves the smell of his own farts, and a lot of his breakdowns, a lot of the wall of text you
No,
see
it's
on
like,
the
who
page,
is Phil Steele?
a lot of the wall.
Why do we hate him?
The wall of text
We
you
don't
see
hate
on
him.
the page about a team will be like
From 5 years ago.
This team in 2018 had the number 23 ranked defense.
Yeah.
Like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't matter at all. Like, he just fills it with like these random stats that don't matter at all. And I'm with Katie.
Page 6 previews and athlons are my two
the
favorites.
Phil
Page 6 is
Steele
my favorite.
the Phil Steele magazine looks incredible. It looks like the buckets of information.
It's too much.
It's too much, and some of the abbreviations and all that are too much. But whatever.
You can read
but
the
can I tell you something?
2023 Phil Steele magazine. 85% of it right now in your 2022 Phil Steele preview.
That is correct. That's the problem.
It is a problem, but I will tell you, Brandon, I think that you might walk it back a little bit if you get added to that list. this
Nah,
year.
that list is old news.
You know
I
he
don't
wants
even want to be
You know
on
he
it.
wants to be on that list.
Jack, just in fairness to her, do you know who you're talking about here?
Brandon wants
You
to be on that
understand.
Who cares about that list? You're Brandon fucking
You
Walker.
understand if Phil Steele puts me on that list, I'm going to be holding a
Yes.
magazine right here, right?
There's
know
100
that.
names on that list. There's people. There's journalists on that list that have
I'm still hold on. The Big Game
5,000
Boomer list
followers.
ought to be coming out soon.
You have
I'm-
a blue check mark. It's only blue check mark people. So
I got it today.
I know. So I bet you might make it.
No, here's the thing. Brandon will do what he always does. If he's on that list, especially if he's high up on the list, even though it's not even in order, it's not even
It's
like
not.
ranked.
I think it's
But
like.
he will.
I think it's A through Z.
He'll sit right where he is and he'll say, "I've always said Phil Steele is the best magazine." What are you,
You saw
talking
Will
about?
Compton react to them not getting Dylan Raiola.
No.
He probably believed. I mean, I don't blame him. Nebraska, like I feel bad for them. I think if anyone, people it appears who was following his recruitment for a while knew he wasn't going to Nebraska though.
Well, then you see the Orlovsky tweeted like the day before, like things are
I
happening in
know.
Athens, like
Oh.
That's what he was tweeting,
Yeah.
and then everyone was quote tweeting and being like,
Now
"Oh,
there's-
Stetson's coming back for an eighth year."
Now-
I saw that.
now I
and
think there's a receiver that's coming to Ohio State that they think Georgia's about to flip.
Yes, he commented and said like, "Oh, this makes Georgia really appealing to me," which is a wink, wink. Let's up the bag a little bit.
Yeah.
Stetson Bennett, they're still.
Okay. What? Stop right
Do we
there.
have his diploma?
So hold on. Jack is the first person I saw on Twitter starting to stir about this last week.
There's
course
this guy on Alabama Twitter who was actually the first, but yes.
Oh, that's it's a Will. What was his name? Perkins? Nick Perkins? Was that him?
I think it was Nick Perkins. He's a good guy. Like
I
I've
don't
seen
think he's
his
a good
tweets.
guy.
Oh,
when
well, you have rivalries with
Well,
him.
when I was tweeting about Alabama and Brandon Miller and them making
okay.
excuses for a murder, I was he was one of the ones that got his ass on his shoulders, got all butthurt about it. So whatever. But he was the first one. He's been pushing this narrative that Stetson Bennett didn't graduate, right?
Yes, but then I quote tweeted and I was like, "Is this true?" And then came in a lot of people who were just responding with like, "Yeah, no, look into it." And then I made a video and we tweeted about it. Everyone's been tweeting about it. And I thought at this point there would be a photo or there would be a tweet
Georgia
and people
put out
would
a photo
say
of all the grads.
but
and
then
Stetson's
people
not in it.
were saying like, "No, he graduated in December." There's no photo of that or evidence of that. Then they were like, "He graduated years ago, you idiot." There's still no evidence. So if Georgia fans, I like you. If there's evidence out there, please present it, and we will push it out there. But if he did not graduate in 7 years, he's the new king of I did not come here to play school. He was a walk-on and decided I ain't graduating. That's one of the biggest ballsy plays I've ever seen in my
But
life.
here's my question with that, because when I'm seeing all this happen, I'm like, he had to have graduated, because now if you're a regular old student
Right.
and you go to school for 7 years and you don't graduate, like, you're flying under the radar.
Whatever.
If
yeah.
you're a scholarship athlete, because he eventually became a scholarship athlete, they are checking on that shit.
You have to have 12 hours a
Yeah.
semester, right, to even be.
Yeah, but then if you don't, you could continue to go to school and get those like credits to be a full-time student. But maybe he didn't take the required classes.
Also-
maybe he
But don't you
failed
have
it.
advisors for
One
all
more
that?
one
Like,
more thing, like
Oh yeah.
if you're
Yeah.
a
You
football
check-ins.
player
I had
at
you
a
check-ins as a
huge
freshman.
football factory, if they're making sure you
Yes,
get whatever
yeah.
needs to be done to graduate, right?
We don't even hear
Oh, yeah.
about academic ineligible guys anymore.
You don't. Freshman year, every football player, I had one because I got the academic push to get in for UNC. Every week I had to meet with an advisor. Once they realized I was fine, they're like, okay, go away. But every single football player, they had study halls once a week. They had academic counselors. They had people assigned
They
to
make
you.
sure they're
Listen,
doing what they got to do.
and
They
not
sit
only-
with football players and make sure they sign up for the right classes.
That's what I was about to
and
say.
everything.
They not only sit with them throughout the
Handheld.
season.
UNC
they're-
even has them in classes now.
Damn.
So I'm not.
Stetson Bennett had to have graduated solely because there was somebody in charge of making sure
But
he was taking the
where
right
is
courses.
the evidence? So
Even if you graduate undergrad, he'd have to still be in there for a master's of some
How
sort.
do you go to college with somebody checking on your shit for, let's say, 5 years, however long he's actually been getting checked up on, and not graduate? What was he doing?
Well, he enrolled in 2017.
He had to have graduated.
All right. Listen, I can't judge the man. There's not a degree on my wall from Mississippi State, so I'm not going
But
to judge
you
the
didn't
man.
have a team of people making sure your ass was graduating.
and you weren't there for 7 years.
Yeah, well,
Well, you never know.
all right.
I tried to stretch out my college situation. I still only took 5
They
years.
said, the advisor sat her down. Casey, I got bad news. You graduated.
My last semester of college, I took racquetball and a science lab. Not even a 3-hour course, a 1-hour lab because I tried so hard to stretch it out.
But there's no journalist that has come out.
Cardale Jones quote tweeted it.
Yeah, but even there's no you would think, oh, okay, Georgia's football program would come out and say one of the journalists they
It's
have on
so
payroll and be
easy.
like, hey, just tweet this out and say he graduated in 2019. Here's the evidence.
Unless they
That
all think
hasn't happened.
Unless they think it's so funny, they're like, let these people think.
You're right. Maybe they were just
No, because Georgia, he's exactly right. Georgia would reach out to Seth
Yes.
Emerson or somebody and say,
Yes.
hey, make sure, and he would be like, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then he would tweet it out
Sure
and
will.
just be like, we know this is funny, but
yeah.
Stetson Bennett actually graduated in 2020.
There's certain
No.
there's certain news reporting places that are talking about it. That those are places that need to do the full in-depth research to even talk about it. Like, can you do suspicious?
No, you know what?
But listen,
Like-
even if he didn't, it's just funny. There's no
listen.
real.
Isn't
wanna-
everybody who
I-
graduates
Shannon
from
Sharpe
the
even talking about
University
it.
of Georgia public? Maybe we can even look into this.
I want to live in a world where we spent so much time making fun of how old Stetson Bennett was, even though for me it was tongue-in-cheek. I don't care that he's 25 years old. I couldn't care less. But can you imagine the folklore? He's Van Wilder who won 2 national titles. That's what he is. If he did not
Or
graduate,
Kreischer.
I want to live in that world.
What if the first day of fall this year, somebody just shows up to their apartment and they're moving in and they open the door and it's Stetson Bennett's just chilling on the couch. Oh, you just got here? And he can't play football anymore, but he's still just chilling.
I mean, don't you want to live in that world?
I think there was a discussion that even if he could have come back this year, he would have had to find a very special red shirt from one of his
Can we
years.
just stop? Can we stop with the nonsense? I think at some point during COVID, somebody in a college room or somebody in NCAA said, you know what, fuck it, let him play forever. I don't care. Just call it the COVID year.
I put out a tweet from on Say Roughness, I think a few days ago. I was just like, we're going to tell our kids or just grandkids about the 6 to 7 year period where everybody had eligibility forever.
People can play forever. They didn't even check. But finally, in 2028, they started saying, all right, so some of y'all got to go.
TJ Finley's going to Texas State with 5 years of eligibility.
He's a freshman.
Yeah,
Nobody at Texas State gives a shit. They're
No,
fine.
they don't give a fuck,
Yeah,
no.
we just want this guy to be there. He's going to be floating the river and tubing. By the way, they do that at Texas
Bo
State.
Nix
It's
will
really
be the
fun.
next one of them.
He probably has unlimited years too.
Tubing is
Tubing's so fun.
Tubing's fun.
It's so fun.
Tubing you'll get a special kind of sunburn in tubing though,
A special kind of drunk.
because you'll
too.
be laying in the water and you think you're cool, and then you'll get off.
Do
Yeah,
you guys know what tubing is?
Yeah, it's
Yep.
in San Marco.
San Marcos, yeah.
Marcus, not Marco.
It's close.
Well, you're both close. It's San Marcos.
San Marcos.
What's San Marcos?
Well, yeah,
I
but
think they say coast.
She's from Texas. She probably
San Marcos.
Yeah, she's barely from Texas. She hadn't lived in Texas.
You
in
remember when
years.
she denounced her Texan? It was last year.
Yeah.
She was like, "I'm never moving back. I'm more New England than Texas, anyways."
Yeah,
yeah, people didn't like that.
Miss Tom Brady over here, Miss Edelman.
Are you going back for his game? Tom Brady? He's being honored for the Patriots' first home game.
No, I
Yeah, she'll make a
She's
jersey
a
with.
mother now. She has no time.
I- college
She's gonna
football,
make
guys.
a 3-tiered shirt, which is a Bucks jersey, a Patriots jersey, and just a retired polo shirt for Tom Brady, and it's gonna sell billions.
yeah, you know what? You keep everybody
That
keeps
is
talking
true.
shit, but
That did
people buy
sell.
that stuff.
People bought that.
I mean, people love Tom Brady. I mean, the fact that we're even talking about one of the most famous people on the planet trying to date Tom Brady right now tells you his pull.
Yeah.
First of all, she's only famous for her dating.
No.
Nah, she's
no.
a businesswoman.
No, she is famous for her dating. This is in her wheelhouse.
But you
Of
know,
course she's going after Tom Brady.
But you know she's one of the most famous people on the planet, regardless of
Yes.
how.
No,
I mean,
100%.
she sits in the White House and shit too. Like it's like somebody out there thinks she's
Kim
famous.
Kardashian's who she's talking about.
Yeah, because
But-
we probably have a lot of people that don't know. What you're talking
Oh,
about.
so there are alleged rumors that Kim Kardashian
Pretty
is trying
good,
to date
page 6.
Tom Brady.
Yeah, but he's not even just date. How she's going about it is such a fuck you rich way. I'm gonna buy a house next to you,
Yeah.
and then I'm just gonna be like, that's well, you're gonna.
And she's just gonna be like out
In the
her-
Bahamas.
yeah, like she, and she's so hot too. She's just gonna be like, not that Tom Brady can't get the hottest woman on the planet at any time, but you know, like it's gonna be one of those movies where she's just like always out in a bikini, and he just happens to see. It's gonna be a movie.
Asking if you want some lemonade.
You think Kim Kardashian knows how to make lemonade?
He doesn't
No.
drink lemonade.
Oh yeah, good point.
Oh yes,
Part of
TB12.
All right, before we go, I want to do this. Okay. I just wanna
Wait,
ask-
tearing the hats, tearing the helmets. I mean,
Huh?
The
No.
helmets.
tearing the helmets.
Son of a bitch. Noah,
You-
did
you
you
have
bring
it
the?
But you have it written on the top of your paper. We were gonna do it right after the news.
All right. So here was my first question. You have to
felt
win
bad.
one
I
college
felt so
football
bad.
game. Which of these 4 Heisman
Okay.
national title winning quarterbacks are you choosing? And it was Cam Newton, Joe Burrow, Tim Tebow, Matt Leinart. Which right after I had a little bit of regret. I should have had Jameis Winston instead of Matt Leinart.
I'm going with Cam.
Going with Cam.
Yeah, just because. Not that Joe Burrow's a merchant of his wide receivers, but Cam won a national championship with a 6-6 team.
Well, here's where the legend of Cam is a little bit too much for me, because if
I'm gonna say something.
if I need to win one game, I want the guy that's going to score the most points. And yeah, Burrow had the best receivers, but Burrow that last season was scoring 50, 60 points a game. Cam won games 17-14, 2017, 22-19. Cam won about 5 games where the defense won the game for him, and nobody mentions it.
Why don't you just say Vince Young? That's the guy you meet ride nonstop. You do tricks on it, and you talk about Vince Young like he's some magical specimen. He threw, I think, more interceptions than touchdowns his junior year. He played for 2 years.
I don't know where
Well,
that hate just
I
came
love
from.
That
but
stats bullshit. That didn't happen.
doing
It was
tricks
close.
on
No, it
Katie.
wasn't close. It was not close. The Vince Young did not throw more interceptions and touchdown his junior year.
It was probably
That
his
is
Maybe his sophomore
that's
year.
horse hockey.
His
That is
sophomore year.
horse hockey is what
His
that is.
sophomore year.
Vince Young college stats. Hold on, Casey. I gotta get on.
I don't know where
gotta
that
get on
hatred,
Jack's ass for a
where that
second.
hatred came from. Deep down in Jack's soul.
12 touchdowns, 11 interceptions his sophomore year. I
Oh,
apologize.
he was a sophomore. Okay, and he was a sophomore, and then
And he threw more interceptions than touchdowns in his freshman year.
well, he wasn't even whatever. Doesn't matter.
Bro didn't throw for over 2,000 yards until he was
Vince
a
Young is one of the
junior.
great quarterbacks of all time. Vince Young took down the USC dynasty.
Yes, he's great.
Why you got all this up in your chest about the Vince Young thing?
Because you just came at my boy Cam.
Well, that's not your boy, Cam. And first of all, Vince Young's not even on this one. Vince Young was on earlier.
I know.
one.
I just like to get on you
lashed
about
out.
Vince Young.
He
You
lashed
like
out.
Vince Young? a
I
lot.
like Vince Young.
It's your weak spot.
How's that a weak spot? I think Vince Young should have won that Heisman over Reggie Bush. I say that a lot.
Reggie
also-
Bush is a highlight merchant from playing Fresno State.
Correct.
Yeah, Brandon's not a Reggie Bush
Lundell
guy.
White was better.
To answer your question, though, it's Joe Burrow.
Yeah, I'm fine with taking Joe.
Joe Burrow won the poll at 41%, 25,000 votes.
People do love that kind of stuff.
They love it. It's just. It's,
I'm not.
it's-
There's nothing wrong. I don't mind.
You,
big game
you judge
boomer.
me for it. If you were an impartial observer and I give you a ticket to a big game in one of these stadiums, which would you choose?
The fact that this poll wasn't like 90% LSU is crazy.
Beaver Stadium, Penn State; Michigan Stadium, Michigan; Tiger Stadium, LSU; Neyland Stadium, Tennessee.
It's LSU in a landslide.
I've been to Tiger Stadium. It was great. If I chose one of the other, which I've been to Neyland Stadium too, I would like to see a game at Penn State. I'd like to be at a whiteout.
I've been to LSU, I've been to Tennessee, love them, but just for not having been there, I want to see a Penn State whiteout. As
so
of
by
right
the way,
now, that's my number one
The
bucket list.
whiteout's going to be Iowa.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
sucks.
Sucks.
It's just because of
TV's
big
killed
noon.
it,
It's
yeah.
big
Going to be a
noon.
whiteout in the
It's
crowd. Going to be a whiteout on the
It
field.
needs to be a night game. Oh,
Damn.
Most college football games are whiteouts in the crowd.
Well, only Iowa games are whiteouts on the field.
Oh.
Did you get that? That wasn't the joke. The joke part was on
No,
the
no,
field.
no. That was a L by me.
You know what? You are sassy today.
Beaver Stadium.
It sounds like pussy.
Did I tell you
I
my
saw
mascot
your
was
res-
K through 8?
What?
I went to all-girls school. And we were the Beavers.
You've said
Yeah, you've told me
yeah,
that before.
That's incredible.
You were right. You responded. You said Beaver Stadium's getting not enough love here. I'm with you.
It came in last behind Michigan Stadium.
I think that I feel like people that are voting are doing what you guys just did and said, well, I've been to these, I want to do this. You have to pretend that you've never been to any of them.
Well,
That is true. You have an SEC bias.
Yes.
Okay.
Not you.
And then
your
and,
audience.
and then one fan base did this thing that they've been doing recently. Georgia fans are not satisfied having the best coaches, the best players. They're not satisfied winning national titles. They also are now doing this movement where Sanford Stadium is the best stadium in the
Brandon,
country. Have you seen
they're
that?
not just now doing it.
These lying pieces of shit.
Let us not forget that of all the takes that I had last year, and I went at with so many different fan bases, and I say a lot of dumb shit sometimes, the Georgia fans were so mad at me about saying that Stanford Stadium is not the loudest stadium and that home field advantage there is not near as big as other places. Holy
They
shit,
put
you
you
would
in
have.
that hype video.
I was in a hype video.
That was like through the
They keep saying that Georgia's Sanford Stadium is better than Tiger Stadium. No, it's not.
No,
close.
it's not, and that's not. And Georgia fans, listen loud and clear. That is not an insult. There is no stadium that's Tiger Stadium, in my opinion. LSU is the best stadium in the country. And my God, I will never forgive Tennessee for playing like such dog shit in that game because it immediately became the opposite of what I said.
But Sanford Stadium is not a top 5 stadium in the Southeastern Conference.
No, it's not.
Just not. It's
It's
behind
not.
LSU. It's behind Tennessee. It's behind Auburn. It's behind A&M. It's behind the Swamp. Like, it's behind those comfortably. Okay, and I'm sure I missed one. So just You don't have to have everything. You got the best coach. You got the best players. You win the national titles. You should be happy with that. Don't force Sanford Stadium on our asses.
It's behind Florida. Did you say the Swamp?
I said the Swamp.
Oh, you said the Swamp, and I don't even like the Swamp that much. And I've gotten in it with with Florida fans.
I'd put it on par with Alabama. Alabama doesn't have a great stadium either.
Do not understand how Georgia fans, who, and I would assume a lot of them have gone to other stadiums. Again, I'm not saying it's a bad atmosphere. It is a fantastic atmosphere. There are tens of thousands of people there. It is a lot quieter majority of the time than a lot of these other stadiums. But last year versus Tennessee, fine, you had your day, and I'll never live it down. But it's not LSU, and it's not even close.
No, I said, which coach is the most hated? And I had Dabo, Kirby, Brian Kelly, Jim Harbaugh.
I mean, it has to be Dabo.
Dabo, 50% of the vote.
That's impressive on a 4 ballot.
Yeah.
Especially, and I think you tweeted it, Brandon.
I
Especially when Brian Kelly may have killed a kid.
Yeah. One of these guys potentially killed a kid, and he didn't even get close. Brian Kelly was second, Jim Harbaugh third, and Kirby
Dabo
Smart, only
does it.
6% of people hate him. Huh?
People don't hate
And they're all
Kirby
Alabama
yet.
fans.
They don't hate him yet.
Yeah.
And, like,
Yeah.
I wonder when it's coming because
This-
it hadn't happened yet.
And the 6% that voted him are absolutely Nick
His
Saban
Southern
stands.
charm's going to turn into I hate him.
I think it will because he just but he hadn't got it yet. It's interesting. But Saban's really never been a hated guy either.
No one really hates They hate Saban because he wins.
Yeah.
Yeah, they hate what Saban does to them.
But Saban,
But
I don't
whenever
think Saban's ever been hated.
No,
It's more
when
of an envy
he when
than a
he
hate.
does when he like the Maria Taylor interview, when he does stuff like that,
Yeah.
there is a pretty loud group of people that is like, oh, he's just a fucking asshole.
But if I were to do the top 5 most hated coaches in college football, I don't think he would make it.
But
No,
if
but
you
there- but people
don't
look
think
for a
your
reason.
college football coach is an asshole.
Oh, definitely,
You need to.
But look at college
I'm
basketball.
going to sell you.
Like Coach K was what Coach Saban is for football. He was far and away the most hated coach.
Coach K got on his soapbox and would say like 1-year players are the worst thing that ever happened to college basketball, and then he would go and get the 1-year players. Like,
Lies about dyeing his hair, takes away
Katie
uniforms.
hates the hair dye, by the way. She hates the hair dye.
No, just
no,
own
Coach
up
K.
to it.
No, I know.
Own up to it.
Well,
When Nick Saban went on this year though, during the playoff and like tried to get, or when they were. When was that he went on?
it was
did
this
he?
year. It was the
I
night of
know.
the SEC championship
Okay,
game.
so it was the SEC championship. There
Yeah.
were a ton of people that were like, "Get this clown off TV." So I do think he's hated, just maybe not in the same.
Well, that was
way.
just a pathetic thing he was doing. He was doing a media tour to try to convince people his 2-loss team should have been in, and that was just bullshit.
Yes, but
watching Nick Saban get reduced to that was sad.
It was sad, but there were also plenty of people that were like, "This is fucking horrible. Like this is pathetic."
Well, you know what's not pathetic?
Let me guess.
Flavor is in full bloom right now at HelloFresh.
HelloFresh.
Enjoy the taste of spring with chef-crafted recipes featuring ripe, seasonal ingredients delivered right to your door. Do you like going to the grocery store and standing in lines, Jack?
no, it's
No.
Do you like
I
going
walked
out
out
to,
the other
I have to
day.
do my breathing exercises.
I
Casey,
walked
do
in
you-
and I walked out. The line was too long.
do you like going to restaurants and waiting for a while to get seated?
You have kids. You know how hard that is.
HelloFresh does. HelloFresh is the best meal service kit in this country. You can cut out the lines to the grocery stores. You can cut out the list. You can cut out all that. Cut out the long trips to the restaurants. Everything arrives in one box on a delivery day you choose. You can pick from 40 weekly recipes, but you can also choose from over 100 items to round out your order, from snacks and easy lunches to desserts and pantry necessities. Their quick and easy meals make feeding the family a cinch, and without the high price tag, their new fast and fresh options are ready in just 15 minutes or less. I assume your life has a special place for HelloFresh right now.
It does. It sure does. I've always loved it. If you've been listening to this podcast, you know that I've been talking about how I've always paid for it. Boy, I would pay even more right now because it makes it so much easier. And like I said, last time we talked about HelloFresh since I've been back, you ever try to go to a grocery store with a stroller or all your children? It's not fun.
Check Save money off your growing to-do list with the help of HelloFresh. It's cheaper than grocery shopping, 25% cheaper than takeout. Go to HelloFresh.com/Walker16, that's Walker16, and use code Walker16 for 16 free meals plus free shipping. Go to HelloFresh.com/Walker16, use code Walker16 for 16 free meals plus free shipping. HelloFresh.com/Walker16. All right.
Which is actually more than 16.
What?
Which is actually more than 16.
Yeah, it is. The ad's over, though, Casey. Just relax.
I just wanted to keep going because I didn't know where you were going next. I
Well-
don't think you knew where you were going next.
Well, I'm not going anywhere. I think I'm ending the show very soon.
Oh.
Anything else you guys got?
TJ Finley, Texas State,
All right.
from Auburn.
We'll just have annual TJ Finley transfer news from here on out.
Until the ACC TV deal's over.
Yeah, it's just whatever.
That should be a like timeline versus ACC deal. Like what'll last longer. Like,
We
that could
also
be a whole
That'll be
segment.
its next poll.
Yeah.
We also got to figure out a lot of things coming forward in this. We got plenty of time to preview the season, but I was thinking the other day I was going to tweet who the best quarterback in the SEC was this year coming up.
Well, you don't really know.
Right. You cannot answer that question right now.
No, but we should do a show about
Is
that.
it KJ Jefferson? God, I hope not. Is it
Oh, speaking of.
Jaden Daniels? I'm not sure. Nussmeier's not going to make his job difficult.
I don't know if I'm going to blame you or I'm going to blame Jack, but I woke up, I don't know if it was yesterday morning,
Notice
the
you're
day
not going to
before.
blame yourself.
No, because I wasn't involved. All of a sudden, I had Arkansas fans all in my notifications again, and I was like, what the
What
fuck
did
is
I
going
say?
on? It was Jack's fault.
What did I do?
It was, you called Arkansas the dumbest fan base in America, and then Jack quote tweeted it, and now you've riled him up again?
Unbelievable, Jack. Unbelievable that you would do that.
I did screenshot and say he does have a point. And
But it's Brandon's fault.
but I
How could
actually
it be my fault?
I did pour some more oil on the, like, it was done. And then I saw an Arkansas fan quote tweet, and I was like, man, I missed this because it was in the replies. And I took some oil and poured it on there, and then boom, it started up again.
But that's how you know he's doing a good job.
So so it was today. Days just, this is the first one I saw from Hogs with a Z Mafia, coming from the fat. I don't know if I can say this word. Can I say that word?
You just did.
Bleep it. Coming from the fat from Mississippi and the ugly duck-looking woman from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Casey Smith. It's maybe true for a third of the fan base, but this is every fan base in America. How do these clowns have a platform? I was like, what in the hell is going on? And then I scrolled up and
he
realized
should
you were
make
at
his
it
own
again.
platform if it's so easy to do.
No, I agree, which is hilarious. But I was like, what? Really? The Arkansas fans are
It'll
back?
have to be a reinforced platform if he's ever going to have Sam Pittman on it.
I know.
Oh, damn.
Remember when they said like he was like getting thin?
I don't know who said that.
No, there was
Who said that? A goddamn whale?
That was such a dad joke.
Hmm.
I still stand by my take last week, though. Sam Pittman, #1 guy to mow his own lawn.
No chance.
On a rider.
No chance.
On a seated one.
No.
With a cold beer.
No.
And he's in
You're
some...
asking so much of the blade at that point? I mean, the pressure on that mower. All right. Anything else? Nope.
No.
Good?
I'm good.
Good.
I'm good.
That's unnecessary roughness.